We just wait for 1 or 2 minutes to join. All the participants will join. As I will ask to the coordinator of this conference, please post one message so that the attendees can join the meeting. I request Somena sir, please post one message in a WhatsApp group so that everybody can join the meeting. A very few pupils are there. Till we start, sir, because the participants are there physically. Or just wait.
Yes.
Start then. 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Sir. So now we can start. Enough number of pupils have joined the meeting. So I welcome you all. Good afternoon. In the post lunch session, I welcome you all and wanted to continue our session with our next keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Hema Banti ma'am. Professor Hema Banti ma'am, she is a professor in Department of Computer Science, Dayal Singh College, and an avid researcher in the field of nature-inspired computing and social networks. She attained her doctorate in the domain of human-computer interaction from University of Delhi, Department of Computer Science. Professor Banti is continuing the work on the path of research with a PhD student, many of whom have successfully completed their PhD under her mentorship. She has nearly 3 decades of teaching experience to undergraduate postgraduate, and PhD student. Professor Banti is on the editorial board of International Journal, was a member of Research Board and Departmental Research Committee at University of Delhi. Has organized many special sessions in conferences and is in the program committee of various conferences of various reputed conferences. She handled her role in various advisory committee, selection committee for promotion organization. I stress belief of interactive learning. Dr. Banti has addressed diverse audience as a keynote speaker in various organizations with many national and international research publications to her credit. Contribution to the school textbooks, she is also the chief editor of 2 books published by reputed international publisher. I would request Dr. Banti to deliver her keynote speech. Please, ma'am.
Please minimize this once just to see that whether he is visible.
Okay, ma'am.
Minimize this once.
Ma'am, please.
Yeah, it's fine. Please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Post the lunch session. So, yes.
Good now.
This has to be hosted.
Just need to tell.
This account needs to be hosted.
Just the screen sharing is visible. Yes. Screen sharing visible for us in তোমার আইডি
This one, right?
Can I resume?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So, again, welcome to all of you post the lunch session. Before I start off, I extend a heartfelt thanks to the organizing committee, to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Registrar, General Co-Chairs present here, and all the audience, because thanks for bearing post the lunch session. This is going to be a very tough session for me to handle, but I can assure you, this is a session which you will connect easily. One, because the topic is digital communication. And for that, I'm going to thank the organizing team, because this is one conference title which, which actually gave me the thrill, because very few conferences are on human-centric. Smart computing, yes. Artificial intelligence, yes. We are into an era of artificial intelligence. We are working towards it. It is there, invaded our houses and offices everywhere. So there's no denial. But where does the human aspect go into? And that human aspect, why is it important? I'll refer to it once again during my slides. But before I start off with my slides, and as you can see the title of my topic, I will just, make you recollect a movie of your times, not very far off. How many of you have seen the movie Robot of legendary Rajinikanth sir? Almost all of you. Okay. So there was the robot called Chitty, right? And the robot was able to do everything. But there was a problem. What was that problem? EQ. The robot did not have emotions. And when it had, then it became a problem for the legend himself. So emotions are the most important thing. And why do I say that? I'm an emotional person. So for one reason that. Secondly, because I feel And in fact, you would also feel the same way if I ask you one simple question. How did each one of us communicate with our parents when we were born? Did we know any language? Hindi, English, Bengali, any language? No. How did we communicate? We were hungry. What we used to do? Cry. If we are happy, we used to move our legs. Okay. So we are showing excitement with our hands. We are displaying emotions. So the very first connect with our world, with our society, is the emotional connect. And my lecture today is based on that. And why is it important? Because I very well agree with what Sir said, that there are metaverses coming over. You have AR and VR. And I mean, I was recently in US and I could see everywhere those goggles with the VR frames, which have those lights and everything going over, everyone wanting that. But then what is happening is you are wearing those are machines which are connecting you. So human is coming over there, but where does the part of thinking, feeling, not thinking, feeling goes over? So this small keynote, I assure you, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, because I know the time limit has exceeded for each one of them. And I could hear during the lunch break, most of the research scholars also were having a bit of problem that they are getting delayed. Sorry for intruding on your time, but I would assure you that I am here to try and sow the seeds of some part of research in your day-to-day life. I'm not here to start a PhD thesis or to go into much detail of the, excuse me, this is not moving ahead. Okay. Mouse was perhaps. It was not working. No, it doesn't. So a brief review, we'll just start off with a basic thing of what you are all aware of, digital communication, and why do and how do we understand those emotions, and how do we incorporate those emotions in our day-to-day systems, and how do we detect, and part of that we will discuss over here. But right now, the basic thing, which we'll go very quickly, and that is, what is digital communication? We all know what is digital communication. I mean, that is a very odd question for me to ask, because right now I'm on YouTube. It is getting live streamed. So I'm communicating digitally. But thanks to the organizing team, I appreciate the offline interaction also, because I belong to an era where your emotional expressions, where the way you are looking towards me, where the way I am looking towards you, I really appreciate that. I appreciate my interactivity with my audience. So a hybrid mode is better, but we all agree digital communication, I'm now, I think, reaching across different boundaries. Many of them would not be here also. So I am reaching across different, if it is possible, then across different time zones, and faster, efficient communication. And very important thing, you all can vouch for that. When you're in digital communication, you do have a possibility of building strong and deep connections. I have met few faculty over here, but then if there is an online question or an online interaction, there is again a possibility of probably another researcher coming to me and saying that, hey, ma'am, I saw that particular topic and I saw that video of yours, so I would like to interact. And once maybe we interact, we can have a better collaboration and we can move ahead. So the connections could be better, and maybe then we can move ahead also. So all this is definitely a part of digital communication. So I will not delve into it. What I want to stress over here is that your perspective, and especially since I'm seeing a lot of young and fresh blood over here, so I can see that your perspective has changed. Today, when you plan a visit, maybe a vacation visit, I think now the colleges are opening, so maybe you've had your vacations. But if you plan a vacation, what do? We people used to search it when we had internet. What is that place? Maybe the brochure of that and things. What do? You check over, is there a blog or a vlog on that? Is there a traveling desi YouTube on that? And let me just find out that particular YouTube. And what did that person do? How did he minimize the budget? And how did he or she plan? And the moment I go in for those vlogs, I know we have umpteen. And I think each one of you would be having a favorite blog in order to go in for a particular vacation. So you will quickly search that. Experiential sharing is what is critical today because of digital communication. Today, we do not shy of posting our reviews of a particular product, again, because of digital communication. So reels, I mean, you take a phone and you sit and you start watching the Insta reels or TikTok videos, and you start in the afternoon and you do not know when it is night. So digital communication is invading your life a lot. After effect of that, as teachers, we would say that. But it is not only on that. You're forging relationships also. It's a very important platform for online dating today. Friends and marriage circle also eventually. But this is all social. Another thing, we can build corporate network. So digital communication is something which is not limited only to saying that it is a pastime, or it is only communicating and then making friends and then maybe following and disfollowing or heartbreaks. And not only that, corporate network, LinkedIn connections are integral to our life today. So communication, and that way, sitting here, I can learn the culture. Today, I know what's a Vietnamese fusu. I know what is you all know what's Korean music. K-music is popular. You know what girls would be checking over, how do you get that Korean glass skin over there? So Korean, the culture, Korean invasion, Korean culture is invading us. Sitting in India, we know all about that. That's precisely. So I'm not basically discussing much on that. We all are using digital platforms for various things. You have marketplaces, you have payments, communication, community network, everything we are all very well familiar with. And as our past speaker, Dr. Mani, he said this, that ChatGPT, I vouch for it. I would say I planned a visit recently to LA, and my first response was plan, and I gave a question to ChatGPT, plan a visit for me for 5 days to LA in this budget. And ChatGPT gave me an accurate way of making that trip right within that particular budget. I could not have got that trip with even following a vlog over there. So ChatGPT, these chatbots, these platforms, they're all helping us out. So they are there for learning. We are using them for various things, for information and introduction. But how are now, your generation, how are you people using this particular, how are you people using this particular mode of communication? This generation, I would specifically say your generation, is more into brevity. You do not want to write SEECUYOU. That's tough for you to write. What do you write? CU, or you don't even write that. You put a sticker over there. CU, that's it. Because time is critical for our younger future generation. Very critical. I agree. Okay. So, that has transformed the way we are communicating. We people used to write long letters, respected sir, this and this and happened. And now what has happened is, I can vouch for it as a faculty member also. Many a times I have got letters, official letters from the younger generation, which includes a lot of abbreviations not acceptable in an academic environment. But brevity is the key for younger generation. So you're exploring a lot of slangs and informal language, good enough on social media. Digital communication, you're using that. And then you're using emojis. So I would not wonder that at this particular time, if you are connected on WhatsApp or my audience on the YouTube and they post an emoji over there, oh, it's a boring lecture. And for that, they just write over here any of these 3 emojis, which I'm showing right over their board. Either I'm feeling sleepy, please don't sleep, and or I'm bored, or there is, it's too hectic for me. I really don't want to go in for that. And had it not been the courtesy of your organization team that they shelved this particular lecture post lunch, and had I been made to give a lecture before lunch, then I'm quite sure the second emoji would have circulated. We need lunch, we need food. Unfortunately, most of the emojis for lunch and food is burgers and pizzas. So, Honorable Sir, I would definitely want that start over a competition in your organization of designing a new emoji, maybe for some kind of an Indian food over there, which is a very important research area or an innovation area, not research area, but an innovation area. And bright minds like you can design new emojis over there. So then you are using emojis like a heart. Now I'm confused. See, the 3 emojis over there, boat, yes, I agree. There are umpteen more. Heart. I used to use heart for love. I find the younger generation, the today's generation, they're using heart for like. It's somewhere between love and like. I don't know what it is, but it is somewhere between over there. So, but whatever you are feeling, whatever you are doing, you are using emojis a lot. Agreed? Do all of you agree? How many of you have used emojis in your text today? Many of you. Okay, so I mean, yes, be brave enough to say, yes, we use emojis. Emojis is for us people, for you people only. But there is a big problem with this kind of emoji. And that is the reason with most of you when it can be a cause of, a breakup between you and your good self, or maybe a patch up also. Like, for example, this particular emoji when I'm talking of, what is it? Sarcasm or humor? What do you use it for? Humor. You use it for humor. But if you see, there has been a recent research which me and my PhD student did, and we found that when you used it more than 5 or 6 times, you were actually using it for sarcasm. Okay, so many emojis at the end. Yes, one emoji was definitely humor, but many emojis went in for sarcasm. So intensity of that emoji, working on that emoji has its own after effects. And as I'm saying, my talk today is on understanding this emotional connect on how each one of us is communicating. And that is what I'm referring to and why I was happy to hear this title of this conference, Human-Centric, because we actually want to know how you communicate with each other. Going back to a bit of literature, Ekman in 1992 described these basic set of emotions. The set of emojis is not what he gave. It's just a translation of what I have tried to bring in over here. But he said these are the 6 basic emotions which are there: happy, sad, fear, disgust, anger, surprise. And he said any amount of complex emotions can be there, because you might say, ma'am, there is a happy, but there is something called joy. When I talk of something anger, it is not pure anger. I'm upset with the other person, but I'm not angry. Okay, so there is a degree, but he said complex emotions can be built. And these are the 6 types of emojis which you can see. Now, many of you will not agree with me on the 6 types of emojis, because probably this happiness emoji is a big grin, whereas you perhaps might be an introvert. So you show happiness with just a small smile. That is happiness for you. But somebody is an extrovert and that person might want to use a big grin or a small grin. So the happiness emojis, the basic set of emojis that you're talking of, might vary across platforms, across users. But one thing which almost all our theorists, researchers, and psychologists agree upon, that we do not have anything called discrete emotions. We do not say, yes, it is pure happiness. Yes, it is pure sadness. I have something in between. Maybe I am happy that my close relative is going. I'm happy for him, but I am sad for myself. So I will not categorize my emotion as pure happiness or pure sadness. So discretion or binning, if you are aware, I think these people are mostly computer science background only. So you must be aware of, in statistical terms, we call as binning. So we say these are the various bins which are there. So binning is not possible in emotions. It's a very fuzzy thing, which was captured by Robert Plutchik back in quite a previous time. You can see this beautiful wheel of emotions which Robert Plutchik gave over. And this Plutchik wheel of emotion, if you can see, there is, first of all, there are various petals to it. Now, if you would see, there is a gradient color. I think that gradient color is visible. There's a gradient color in each of the petals. So I start over from acceptance. and the color intensifies to trust, and then it intensifies further over here. Okay, so that means my emotion is becoming stronger. I'm initially accepting the other person's words, then I gradually start building trust on that particular, and then probably I move on to a higher degree of emotion. In a similar manner, I have an initial stance of serenity, I move over to joy, and then I move over to ecstasy. But there are certain emotions. So these are the petals, and very beautifully, these petals, what has been done is just opposite of this. If you can see, just opposite leaf of trust is a leaf, which is the petal, which is consisting of disgust, boredom. So a very contrary emotion from the trust to the other petal is there. So opposites are on the opposite sides of petals. So it is a beautiful interpretation of all the emotions over here. And in between, there is some kind of shade in between, which is non-colored, that is love. And how do you come over to love? You come over from serenity and acceptance, you come to love. You will say, why are you teaching us psychology or this thing over here? Because that has deep root. Computer science branch is not a branch which is growing on its own. It is it is dependent on a lot of other branches. So when we talk of human-centric, we have to understand the psychology of humans. We have to understand how things are taken and then develop things for our users over there. So unless and until we do not know what our audience wants, we will not be able to deliver it to them. So here sprouts something called what we call as an emotional intelligence. EQ, which you most of you are aware of. And that is basically talking of how do we perceive emotions, how do we control them, how do we evaluate them and use them to communicate. And are you all using it? Chitti was using those emotions, but Chitti could perceive, but Chitti could not process them. So you need to, first of all, check those emotions, perceive those emotions. You need to reason out, is this a correct emotion or not? And then you need to understand, and then you need to manage. You simply saw somebody's emotion that the other person is getting angry and you start shrieking over there. Is that acceptable? No. First of all, understand why that person is getting angry. Then you try to reason out, is this justified or not? Then you try to understand this person is in such a space. Do I react and what do I react? So the management of emotions or emotional intelligence is all based on these particular 4 levels, which we are talking of. Now, this is acceptable as far as we talk of psychology, human psych, good enough. But our digital aware systems are systems which should be emotionally aware. How do they incorporate? Now, this is a small picture over here, which is of a robot. And we all have agreed to the fact that their AI has to come in health, education, everywhere AI has to be there. So we need digital systems over there. Now, how do they need to be emotionally aware? If you can see this diagram over here, a senior citizen in a place of his own is commenting to a robot, it's a good day. Till now, the work which has been done on sentiment analysis. So the senior citizen's statement is interpreted, and if you see the bar over there, it is between -1 to +1. -1 is negative and +1 is positive, which is whether it is a positive sentiment or a negative sentiment. So when he says it's a good day, in a general tone, we would say, yes, it's a good day, so it's a positive sentiment. So the robot also analyzed, some kind of a sentiment analysis was done, and it was analyzed as a good day. But that was not how the robot is going to respond. The robot will take that input from the sentiment analysis mode and make a multimodal over here, multimodal emotional basically perception over here. And what the robot will do is, it will read the facial expression of this particular senior citizen. And it will say, okay, so you are saying it's a good day and your muscles are not taut, their muscles are relaxed. So that means you are feeling it's a good day. And I agree with this. And therefore, I would give you a response corresponding to that it is a good day. And I will say, it's good to hear that. And I will store that information in my repository. I'm talking on behalf of the robot. The machine would store that information into its repository, and it would say, under this particular condition, the person was happy. So we made a sentiment analysis of his statement. We saw the facial recognition system of that particular person. And then we said that the person is happy and given when the day was good. Probably it was a sunny day, probably it was a cloudy day, whatever the situation was. Why will I need it later on? I need it later on because somehow, supposing that person is not in a good mood and the machine wants to improve the mood of that person. So what the machine will do, dig up its repository and find out what made it as a good day. Okay, so one of the reasons. So basically, emotionally aware digital systems need to improve upon the user engagement, need to check over how the users are engaged, create some kind of personal experiences with them, which should give them some kind of assurance, some kind of safety sense over there, so that they can do decisions. And it should be, helpful in terms of emotions, in terms of support system. It should be helpful for them. Where do I use these emotional systems, emotionally aware systems? Lots of applications. This is just a list. I'll just give you an example. You are all aware of recommender systems. You know what's a recommender system? Where have you seen recommender systems? Where have you experienced recommender systems? Online shopping, yes. So consider a situation. You have bought things and you bought one book, and obviously it recommended, these days it is recommending the size also. You bought this size, so you please, they will suggest you, this is the size that suits you. So please don't go in for the other size. So recommender system is helping you out over there. Now, why do these recommender systems need to be emotionally aware? I'll take up a simple scenario. A recommender system was being used, or is, let's think it's a hypothetical situation. An expectant mother was using recommender system. So she was obviously checking out on all the baby care products or maternity products and all that. And unfortunately, the expectant mother had a miscarriage. But the system was not aware. And even after miscarriage, the system kept on recommending the same products to that particular lady, which in turn brought out a sense of frustration and depression. A hypothetical situation. But had the digital system been emotionally aware that this particular person is not going through a good steady stream of emotions, it would not have recommended that particular product. So the recommendation would have stopped. It still stops, but after some time, when you stop shopping those particular things, so during that phase, the digitally aware system was not emotionally aware. So we need to have emotional awareness in recommender. Education, your favorite thing. You are in an online class. You're in an offline class. The teacher knows how you are reacting. I can see your grins right now. I can see you people laughing around. I can see everything. So you're feeling happy. I feel that it's a good steady state of positive emotion. Online classes, we've all been through that in COVID. And as teachers, let me tell you, it was very frustrating because we were not even aware how you are responding to our lectures. But if we had some mechanism, somebody perhaps was not well. When you're not well in a class, you tell, we are not well. So we probably guide you that go to the medical room, or perhaps you take us some time off and we'll help you off. But you couldn't tell us during that particular time. And we kept on moving with our class. So your emotions were not, your well-being was not communicated unless and until you made an explicit communication for that. What about if these days we are all stressing upon, we say that all our classes should be made, recorded lectures should be there and everything should be there. Recorded lectures will not take into consideration that today you are not in a mood to study this. Tomorrow you might be in a better mood to study. Or today, if you're not in a mood to study, then can the teacher change the tone or the way the lecture is being presented to make it more exciting for you in order to study that particular lecture? So your education system also needs your emotional awareness. Social media, gaming, there is no limit to the amount of avatars you can have, and you can have a very good emotional experience, right? Jumping into your games that you are practicing over. So that I need not describe. In fact, when I open my MacBook today in the morning, I have my avatar over there. So if I'm keying in the wrong keyword, it droops down its face. If I'm giving the wrong right password, it gives me a bright sunny shine. My avatar gives it over to me too. So that way, emotionally aware digital systems can actually bring a lot of change in our day-to-day lives. So what do they need to do? So as I said, I'm here just to tell you or make you aware of how you can work on these emotionally aware systems, because I can see many of research scholars also over here. So perhaps this can give them an idea into their own steady stream of work. Now, what are the key components of emotionally aware digital system? The first and the foremost is I need to, first of all, recognize the emotion. When I'm talking to you, you are seeing my face. You are seeing, even in an online stream, my face is visible. So my hand movement is there. My eyes are being expressive. So you can see, I can see your facial expressions and I can recognize. How do I recognize that in that cold text that you write it down? I cannot recognize it. So I need some kind of mechanism for you when you are writing on social media. I need to identify what is your state of emotion at that particular instant. Then I need to understand your emotion. And in order to understand the emotion that you are in, we need to have the context, cultural, and demographic information to understand the nuances of your emotional state. Why do I need the demographic information? Simple example. Supposing, hypothetically speaking, it snows tomorrow in Delhi. What will be your expression? You'll be happy, filled with joy. It's snowing in Delhi. Happy, never seen it. I mean, so it's good. Now, same snow, supposing that is happening in Srinagar and that is happening for the past 15 days and the traffic is all stopped and the roads are all blocked. Will they be happy? No. So demography plays a big role in stating your emotions, in expressing or checking. So we need to understand in which cultural background you're talking of that. Even in Srinagar, let's bifurcate it further. I'm a tourist and I've just entered Srinagar and it is snowing there for the past 15 days. Problem for a localite, not for me. I've gone there exclusively to see the snow. So I'm still happy. So the kind of emotion that I have will depend upon my context, my demography, and within that also various other nuances. So when I'm going to capture the emotion of the other person, I am going to understand what is the background. Then automatically the emotion generation should be, the response should be appropriate. Your friend gave you a thing that, oh, I failed, and you gave a very happy sign over this. I mean, you can, because with friends, everything is there, you can do anything, but you are being sarcastic. That is not happiness. Okay. So your response should not have been there. You should have been empathetic towards that particular person. Now, think of it in terms of digital communication. Your response was bad and that can eventually lead to big problems over there. So response generation has to be very much in sync with how you understand, first of all, detect, understand, and then generate. And then, as I said, we need to adapt. We need to create the personalized experiences and adapt so that we can give the feedback to that particular person. So as I said, it has to be a totally personalized experience for emotion thing. And remember, emotion is never static. It is dynamic. I was feeling very happy when I was coming to this conference today. But something happened in between on the road and I was disgusted. What is this happening? I could not find parking spot. I did not have this and that. And it was very bad. But when I came over here, I got a very beautiful welcome. So again, my emotion changed over. So it changes over time. It is dynamic. But I need a repository that this is the corresponding environment in which we are getting good emotions or bad emotions, whatever way we try. So this is how an emotionally aware digital system would look. We have the space for emotion recognition. We can get this from various methods. We can augment this emotion recognition. I'm sure most of you have done machine learning. At least they are aware of what machine learning is. So there are various techniques of machine learning where we can have those augmentation of that. And then we have a possibility of emotion generation. And on the base, if you see that we have basically a context model, wherein there are two states. One is the user state and one is the world state. So both of them are helping us to generate the system data. So effectively, a collaboration of all these emotional techniques. So how do I detect emotion? very critical thing. If I'm talking of physical mode, yes, I obviously have facial expression. I have audio methods of detecting emotion. I have physiological methods of detecting emotion. But when I'm talking of digital methods, then digital communication also has text. And as I said, text is cold, bland text. How do I detect emotion? Let's first of all go with our trending or the previous age-old methods of emotion detection. These are 4 pics of the same girl. What is the first emotion? Happy? No, some of you are divided over happy. Shocking, yes. Surprised, okay. Happy, shocking, surprised. What about the second emotion? Disgust. Yuck, okay. Disgust. Any other emotion? Fear, probably. Okay. Third, gloomy, sad, not done. Okay. And fourth, not concerned. I'm not going to comment. Okay. These are different states of emotions. And thankfully, researchers, especially in the area of computer graphics, have been able to detect these facial recognition methods because this thing is not very clear, but there are various places over here, levators and various muscles over here, which can be tapped over to see which one is tight and which one is not tight and which is relaxed. So we can identify. But as you said, you yourself, we are not able to detect the right emotion over there. There are various emotions, one face, one paper, drawing so many over there. How will you identify it? It becomes complex. Okay. So detecting emotions is an important research area, which has been done using various deep learning techniques. How many of you are aware of any deep learning technique? Okay, not many. Okay, so I'll not delve into that, but I suppose these students are going to go in for machine learning and all that. So there are various methods of recognizing these facial movements or computer vision techniques where we can detect them. But the problem is the same. The problem is same expression which is being used to express different emotions. So I'll take up a very simple thing. I'm smiling. Am I happy or I'm smiling that I'm grateful to you? Or a very common situation is I'm in a room with 10 strangers and they are communicating with each other and they are not making me a part of that conversation. I have to stay in that room. I'm uncomfortable. So the only expression that comes on my face is I just sit there and smile. That happens with most of us, isn't it? So smile can also be discomfort that we are talking of. So facial expressions are so subtle. First of all, detecting them is very difficult, even though we use computer vision techniques, but otherwise also they're very ambiguous. So just relying on facial detection techniques is a bit of tough thing. The other method that we have audio and speech. Audio and speech, my tone. I go in for high pitch, then it's a different tone. I go in for a low pitch, it's a different tone. Okay. I go in for a soothing. A mother is making her baby sleep. It will be a soothing lullaby. But the same mother, when she is shouting on the same child, it's going to be a high-pitched thing. So we can have analysis of audio and speech in order to understand the emotions, pitch, rhythm, tone, all of them would help us. So as I said, a high pitch and fast tempo may be excitement. But rather than high pitch and fast tempo, only excitement, it could have been fear also. We shriek when we are afraid. Okay, so that is also a possibility. But the issue again with audio and speech problem is that one, tapping this audio method, finding out, filtering away the noises, that becomes difficult. And again, there is that the same acoustic feature can be associated with different emotions. As I just said, high pitch is for excitement, high pitch is for anger also. And when I get a poor quality audio or background noise, it might be difficult for me to identify the correct emotion. So what we can have is, we can use the multimodal approach, simple, combine audio, video, and in fact, physiological data also. We can have the EEG, we can monitor your pulses, we can monitor your eye dilation, we can monitor your BP. They will all change over, fluctuate when you are in different state of emotions. So we can have a multimodal approach over there. But as I said, our focus is digital communication. So when I'm expressing text, how do I express emotions? When I'm angry with somebody, after I send a WhatsApp message or I communicate, I'll put lots of exclamation marks, lots and lots. If I want answer to something, I'll put lots of question marks. I want to say, don't ever do it. I capitalize the entire thing. Don't ever do it. Maybe bold also. So what I'm trying to do, I don't want to talk to the other person, but yet I want to communicate to the other person that this is my state of mind. But again, I have very brief things which are in my hand. So see, all this is coming from the basic branch of sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis were earlier working on saying either it's a positive sentiment, a negative statement, or a neutral statement. But then we evolved over from sentiment analysis, we moved over to different forms of emotions, leading over to what we call as emotional analysis or the analysis of various emotions. So when we have a simple text, how do we analyze for emotions? As I said, sentiment analysis. So we look in for certain keywords. Maybe we make a decision tree and identify some kind of rule-based approaches, or we apply some kind of machine learning or deep learning or transformer-based approaches. Emotion detection gains its root from sentiment analysis only. And this analysis is deeply rooted to the way you are communicating today, either on Twitter, on any kind of social media, on your WhatsApp, your Facebook messages, or any other Insta posts that you create over there. So we try to collect the data from there, and we try to analyze what is the emotion rooted in that particular user at that instant. It is not easy, believe me. Why? We have limited data. Twitter has imposed a limit of how many tweets we can harness per user. We do not have labeled data. Those of you who are aware into machine learning would know that we need labeled data, and manual annotation becomes very time consuming. So we need training of that particular data. We are unable to do with that. Data, if we have to do some kind of a pre-processing because it contains of so many other things. We need to clean it. Becomes difficult. Context is missing. Very important thing. I simply say, that was great. And then I say, that was great. And then I say, that was great. Now, that was great was okay. You've done good. That was great could also mean I'm being sarcastic. Oh, I didn't expect you to do it. You did it. And when I say that was great, I'm trying to tell that, oh, you have achieved something which is wow. The wow factor comes over. So the context, because I understanding what kind of person the other user is, on that context, the response is there. So understanding the context is very important. And that is missing in case of text. How do I get the context or which user you're trying to address? Context is important. Then I am using the same kind of words for different meaning. I say, let's go to the park. So park is a place. I say, park your funds in this particular investment. I'm not talking of a place. I'm saying that invest it over there. Or I say, park your car in the basement. Again, a different thing. Same thing happens with the usage of words also. When I use the word handy, in case of US, it means a normal English. This is handy, it is useful. But a cell phone in German, or it is normally called as Denglish, over there, it is called as das Handy. It is not often used as cell phone. In fact, there is another name for cell phone in German, but they don't use it. They call it as das Handy. So that again is a different interpretation to that. So in order to have so many challenges which we have for detection of emotions or for analysis of text, we need to tap into various modalities, which is images, audio, what is the context, and what is the time for that. So what happened was, in order to do all this, in 1982, the concept of emoticons started off. Emoticons is nothing but emotion plus an icon, which is an expression of emotions in cold, hard text. So initially it was pure text, and then we started interspersing it with emoticons. And now we know that most of us are using emoticons, which you yourself vouched, and more of us use less of words and more of emoticons, or what we are now started calling them as emojis. We use stickers, we use emoticons, and on an average, the data is being limited to 96 emoticons or stickers per day that are being communicated across per chat conversation. So Shigeta Kurita in 1990 came over with this Japanese expression of emoji, which basically means picture word. And it gained so much of popularity that once in 2007, when the first iPhone was launched, it had an emoji keyboard embedded in it, because that time it was not those smart thing. So it had that emoji keyboard in it. And in 2014, Emoji founder created World Emoji Day, which is soon approaching. So, sir, I request you if you can actually have an emoji day in your organization, 17th of July. So we will be having this emoji day, various methods of celebrating this emojis across. And emojis was so well now embedded in our conversation in every day-to-day life that Oxford Dictionary, every year it comes out as a word of the year. And in 2015, when it announced the word of the year, there was no word. There was this emoji, which is tears of joy. And in fact, there was again a ruckus over that. Why is it tears of joy and not any other emoji? But the point is that emoji, for the first time, got recognition as an English language thing. So that was a great feat for this generation when they started off using emoticons. Emojipedia.org is something which is keeping track of all the emojis across different platforms, and there are various, and in fact, most of you, some of you would be using an Android version, some of you must be using an iOS version, and you will find that the kind of emojis you are using would be different. Emoji of tears of joy is not the same in an Android as it is in an iOS. So the emojis are different. But then again, that is a challenge for an emoji researcher. How do I interpret this, whether it is tears of joy or what? So it was used, emoji, when it started off, it was used as a visible cue for each one of them. Started off with making our conversation lighter, fun. You people started posting it up over there, acknowledgement. A thumbs up is the most common emoji that we use. So acknowledgement was there, response was there. But gradually, what happened was that our collaborative workplace settings were not far behind. What started off as a simple expression in terms of pictures gained popularity in collaborative environment also. And people across now are using emojis on GitHub also to convey this milestone has been covered. This is the issue which has come in this particular code. This is how we can apply it. So emojis are being used there also. So that means somewhere we have started recognizing that we need to incorporate emotions somewhere in between. So therefore, researchers started exploring what are the areas where you can work in emoji. Briefly, emoji usage, emoji lexicon, emoji embeddings, emoji prediction. This is very interesting. If you see Novak and their team, they did a very interesting research, and they found that most of the emojis were being used only in positive situations. Perhaps during negative emotions, you didn't even feel like, the audience didn't even feel like putting an emoji. And the best part is, now see and read back your text today, whatever you WhatsApp. Most of the emojis you are inserting towards the end of the text. You finish up with a sentence and then you put an emoji. Or your generation puts simply an emoji and then does not write anything. So interspersing of emojis or coming them in between the text was again an issue for emoji researcher. So where are we using these emojis? At the end, at the back, and how many emojis are we doing? So this again, emoji usage, as I said, it is different across regions and different across time zones also. It's Christmas time. I'll have a lots of usage of Christmas tree emoji. But at other times, I will not have the usage of Christmas tree. As I said, snow. Snow would be used in the snowing areas, but not in the other areas, unless and until I want to tell you that I've just visited Snow World. So the usage of emojis again becomes a very beautiful area of research. But whatever it is, across different languages, the semantics of emojis are preserved. How many of you use emojis knowing its interpretation? You use emojis by a gut feeling, isn't it? You have never visited any site to check what is the meaning of an emoji. Have you? No, it's just by gut feeling. You people are initiating an era where you're creating newer interpretations of what the original interpretation was supposed to be. So there are certain emojis which have changed and their interpretations have changed. Now, another good area of research is that of emoji lexicons. Lexicon for the unversed is kind of dictionary. Okay. So various emoji lexicons have been created, like Novak, they created a lexicon, and it was a very interesting lexicon in the sense what they did was they tried to see how is an emoji co-occurring with another word. Is it occurring with a positive word, negative word, and then rate or rank the sentiment or the score of that particular emoji, and then rank the emoji. So it was in a ranked order of sentiments of that particular emoji. Fernandez, they created another lexicon, a joint emoji sentiment lexicon, which was a combination of 4 resources, and an automatic emoji sentiment lexicon was created. A pioneering work in emoji was done by Vijay Ratna and his team. He extracted around 2,389 different emojis from the web and created their meanings along with their meanings. And the data used was from your Twitter and Twitter message corpus and the Google News corpus, and associated with each one of them was emoji sense. But as I said, no 2 emojis are same if they are on different platforms. So there was a discrepancy amongst emojis also. So lexicon. Another thing is, how do you describe emojis? Now, this is going to be a bit tricky for those of you since you're not into machine learning. But what I'll just give you a brief idea into it, and that is that we need to have for every word we store some kind of a Unicode description for it. Okay, so emoji embedding is some kind of one level of description that you can think, and there are various methods of storing those embeddings over there. So this is yet another research area. Very important and a very beautiful area is that of emoji prediction. And that is, you are typing a text. And when you're typing a text, now you do get a prediction of emoji on your WhatsApp screen that you're using. You get an emoji prediction. How is that prediction done? There are various algorithms running at the back which are trying to predict that particular emoji. And it's again an upcoming research area where a lot can be done again in order to improve the way you communicate. Why should you work hard to find an emoji in order to apply it into your particular message over there? That is the idea. That is the concept that we need to make things easier and comfortable for you as communicating over social media. But again, as I said, there are various interpretations. Each emoji, there are different senses, and in order to make a meaning of that sense, it is important to understand its meaning. A lot of work is done, but it is difficult, and therefore a lot of supervised learning approaches are being applicable on it. I'll just give you a small example based on my own work with my research scholar. Although I had prepared an elaborate thing on this, but I think I'm what is the time limit for me so that I don't encroach on others' time. I'll just try to make it very quick. So this is just one good example which we are talking of, and this is on a real survey or work that we have carried out. If you can see, these are 3 different users. And 2 users, the first 2 users are on different platform, and the third user is on another mobile platform. So maybe 2 are Android and the third is iOS, or depending upon whatever way it was taken for. Now, the usage of this emoji was varying, and they were not in alignment with the user preference. So if you see in the first thing, the user is writing so tired, and the emoji which he or she is being given is not amongst the list of emojis that particular person is in a habit of using. Now, we can classify users based on some of them hardly use any emoji, and some of them use a lot of emojis. Okay, so as you can see, second and third users have got this. The top block over here is the block which is showing what is the emojis they are using. So the first user has lesser number of emojis, and the second and third user has more number of emojis because they are probably using a lot of emojis in their day-to-day interaction with others. So each one of them, if you see, they are not getting any kind of inputs on whatever is their preferred usage. They are getting I am so tired, they are getting inputs from the system, but none of it is in alignment with the usage that I'm doing. And normally what we do, whatever I'm using, I want to reuse it. No? So give me my preference over there, which is not being done. So this is one of the kind of work that can be done in order to predict emojis. So I'm skipping over that part. We did a lot of training of models and we tried to find out their sentiment scores. But if you see now on the word clouds over here, we tried to find out the emojis, and what we found was that emojis co-occurrence with words of opposite polarity. If you can see, this is an emoji of a sad face, but the word cloud that we got, the occurrence of words was that of love, good, fresh, new, which is not at all in occurrence with the type of emoji that we are working upon. Similarly, the folded hands, which is normally an emoji to indicate gratefulness or thankfulness, was associated with words like darkness, flag, thank, true, and this is actual research work which was done. So a lot of emojis were occurring with opposite polarities, and what was found was, and gave rise to the fact that these emojis are they indicating sarcasm or not? So we did try to do the polarity, and as I said, I'll be moving ahead with those kind of work. But what we found out was that what we need is a sarcasm data set where we need to have all these sarcastic data, sarcastic emojis being clubbed together. And with that in mind, we actually developed a emoji data set, which is available on the GitHub, which is compiled from 5 publicly available sarcasm data sets. And this was the work which we carried out, again, me and my PhD scholar. And we got a beautiful labeling of exactly as sarcastic emojis. So skipping over to the other thing, our main problems today which we are facing is that we have new emojis, and users are using, as you yourself expressed, you're using beyond their intended meanings, and manual annotation is becoming difficult. So what we want today is that we want a world which will be more human-centric, when humans use emoji to add the context that the machines interpret the intended meaning, or maybe you give me a shorthand for giving instruction to digital system. So for example, I've given the example, I simply say, connect me to a customer care executive, and what I get an emoji is that of a customer care executive. So I give verbal instructions and the emoji pops in over there. This is the future that we visualize in order to make it more human-centric, smart computing. So I hope with this, I would have been able to, encourage you people to go in and now check over your own messages and see how much of emojis and how much of emotions are you using in your communication with each other. Thank you. Any questions?
It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Some questions from the online.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a very wonderful session. So I like to ask audience, is there any question like from the online session? If you have any question, you can unmute yourself from the online session. Okay.
I'm sure it was audible online.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
it's audible. So from offline, till then they are gathering the question on the online mode. Is from the offline session, is there any question?
Let me start asking us all
Yes.
questions,
Yes.
so that others are also encouraged to ask a question, because I'm sure that you will be having many questions after this engaging session. I'm sure that it was really a very, very engaging session.
Thank
I'm
you.
not standing back because otherwise others will be.
No, please.
So the thing is, I will not really say it's a question, but I want a comment from your side. That's it. There are two things that have come to my mind. Not really about emojis, but while you were discussing, two things came to my mind. One was you say that an artificial intelligence based software or maybe a prediction based or maybe a, let's say, recommended prediction based software unable to judge the emotion of that person and recommending something which should have been recommended in a happy state,
Hmm.
but has been recommended to a person who is in sad state. Now, this sometimes is due to lack of information also. For example, like the pregnant lady we are talking about, a doctor without the information that the lady is pregnant might suggest some wrong medicine also, which is not to be suggested normally.
Hmm.
So how do you take that into incorporation? Like it is not only about the emotional thing unknown or emotional thing lacking, it is also about the information being lacking over there. So that is something to be incorporated.
Definitely.
So that is the first thing I would want your comment maybe on that. And the second thing I would like to comment on. Madam, as you say that you have asked ChatGPT, you started with this thing, you asked ChatGPT to plan a trip for you and it did it successfully.
Hmm.
Now, as we all know that predicting your trip, it is a traveling salesman problem, NP hard.
Hmm.
Which is it is difficult for the software to write a program for it. So this is generally done by crowdsourcing, like knowing from the crowd or people's discussion that what can be a trick or searching from different websites and then showing it to you.
Hmm.
Now over here, how do you expect software like ChatGPT to incorporate emotions also? Because your emotion while visiting the place may not be the same as my feeling or emotion while visiting the center.
So true.
So how do you expect a software like ChatGPT, which is doing this through crowdsourcing, because of coding is not possible in such an NP-hard problem, to incorporate emotion into that? Because it is totally from crowdsourcing and information is sourced from a website. These are the two questions that I
Fine, sir. So I'll start it the other way. First, I'd like to thank you for actually, getting into the emotional world along with me. So that's a compliment to a researcher like me that you actually thought of how to talk of emotions via ChatGPT. Because when I mentioned ChatGPT, I said that ChatGPT gave me a plan, that this is the plan, but it did not incorporate emotions into it. It is because ChatGPT, we are all understanding it is working on still some past data. But that data was collected, say, for example, if I'm saying that it needs to plan a visit to Manali. So it has the old data. These are the places of Manali which can be visited. And these are the places where you can eat. And you can have, if I'm saying that I have a budget of, let's say, only 10,000. So it will suggest me these are the dormitories where you can stay. And these are the things that you can get over there. So ChatGPT right now is not incorporating emotions. So we wanted to do that also. So that if I'm saying I want to find solace and go into Manali and go in for meditation, I'll have to explicitly type it over there that I want this particular situation. But yes, it maps out a particular plan of activity given the corresponding keywords which we have done over there. And your first issue, that was that of a medical thing. Yes, sir, because we are into an era of artificial intelligence, and you also understand that we are training our intelligence based on the information that we are getting. So in case unfortunately, in case our basic system is not working, then obviously the training set is not good, then other thing would basically have problems. So yes, that is definitely there. We need to have the right information at the right place, which needs to be incorporated.
Thank you.
I'm not getting any more time because we have a session.
Yes, I know.
Very quickly, I would like to ask you a question. Because whatever may be the emotions we are observing, whenever we are looking, anything WhatsApp or like in the platform, Facebook. But I would like to, sometimes because I am not working in this particular field, but it seems to me that it's a cultivation type of emotion. Because sometimes, suppose he feel emotion. Suppose my son got an opportunity where what is the job with them, right? So at that time, I'm happy, but I'm crying.
Yes, sir.
So how to deal with this?
No, I think, yes, I think I did address that particular issue during my talk when I talked of Plutchik's wheel of emotions. So and in fact, that is the very point that I stated. Most of the psychologists, because this is an area which is not purely of computer science, we need the help of psychologists and other researchers also, and they do agree that we cannot have binning of emotions. We need, and complex emotions are very hard to detect, and that is why I fully agree with you. It's just the first generation. So detecting and moving ahead with those complex emotions. And in fact, this was the same example which I said, that when I'm saying that I'm happy, and it was exactly the same example. Somebody is leaving. I'm happy for that person, that person is going, but I am sad that person is going. So there is a mix of emotions.
Yes.
So this is a researcher's mind, sir. Precisely, we have a hybrid emotions over here, and it is very difficult, and we have lots of challenges because emoji tapping is not easy. And we are facing a lot of difficulty getting the data sets, and that is why we created our own sarcasm data sets, and we are planning to. And that is why I would like to encourage this generation also, researchers over here, to move ahead into this particular area.
Really, it's a really immense.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we are ended here. Today's keynote speaks here. So we are going to start our session of presentations. We are having today online and offline. Okay. So we are having today online and offline sessions. So before that, I like to ask, I like to invite VC sir and Pradeep sir to come forward to present a token of appreciation to ma'am. Later. Okay. So we are moving forward for the two, like we are having 3 sessions here. One is offline, 2 is online. So offline session is scheduled here only, and the session chairs are Dr. Shantanu Pradhikar, Macau, Kolkata, and Dr. Ananjan Meti for GNIT, Kolkata. And there are 2 online sessions are there. For the session chairs are Dr. Indrajit Pan, RCC IIT Kolkata, Dr. Nitai Petia, SMIT Sikkim, Mr. Chandan Pan, sir, from Senior Architect in AI Decision BPM MNC. And for the 3rd session, we are having session chairs, Dr. Souvik Sengupta and Dr. Anvesh Mukherjee and Dr. Abhishek Basu. So kindly join the session accordingly. For the online session, you can go for that, but the next room, and for the offline session, you should stay here. First presentation बताइए किसने? So we are ending meeting here. Thank you so much. So join the next session, which is online available. Join that meeting.